Hi, I'm Justin Arnett Graham.
And I'm Nariba Shepherd.
And this is Terms of Service. There we go.
Oh, God.
Hello. Hi.
That was like the one time we tried to do a commercial and realized that, like, I can't read.
Listen, we're doing our best.
I know.
We're doing our best.
But, like, if you want us to do a commercial, anyone out there,
if you're listening,
I could do it.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would happen.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And we're here to support every single step of the way. Si se puede, honey. Yes. There you go. How are you, love?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just like that.
Yep. I'm feeling that so real.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that the is
yeah. No,
sooner rather than later.
I'm just mental health, work, sleep. I did get new couches.
Love.
One of my regulars is selling his home and moving into a smaller situation with his wife, and
situation.
Yeah, and heard me talking to another regular about getting that discount at the furniture company she works for.
And was like, I have something for you.
He was like, if you can move it, you can have it. And I was like, all right. So
you're like, how many hands can I get? Yeah.
I was an adult woman, and I hired 2 men and a truck to move it, pick it up at his place, and move it into mine.
The low-key company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to, I guess, Dolly. Didn't know about them.
Okay, yeah, that's a thing.
So anyway, yeah, it was great. I have a sleeper sofa now.
Sweet.
And a love seat. So more seating for more people to not come over and hang out, because I don't do that.
Okay.
But now my friend Bethany has a actual bed to sleep on.
Love that.
We had a sleepover the other night. We watched The Little Mermaid.
It's adorable.
Yeah. The live action one. She had a lot of comments. But
okay. Well,
other than that,
she can save that.
Yeah.
For off the mic.
Girl.
So
I at one point had to be like, she thought that Prince Eric was like a little bit cuter, like a little bit more feminine looking than he actually was. So I was like, I was talking about how the casting the actual dude was like, I was like, this is an upgrade.
Yeah.
And then I showed her the picture of the cartoon, and she was like, have I been mistaken my entire life? I was like, yeah. That's just a regular schmegular man.
I feel like it is what it is at this point.
So yeah, that's it.
Love it.
Yeah. How about you? Your hair is tall.
I know. It's giving height. It's giving, closer to everyone.
Fair enough.
And then we have these, tendrils, if you will, doing whatever it is that's happening. Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I am, really, I always go back and forth with how I am feeling in regards to the context of the industry, but I'm actually really excited for this episode because we get to do a recap, which I believe is like the first time we've ever done this.
Of a thing that we've been to?
Yeah. And so it was really, really great to be able to, kind of share space and community with our colleagues, locally and abroad. And, and that kind of segues us into what we're talking about now.
I was literally like, I asked you about you, and you were like, the context of the industry.
Well, I was just like, okay, well, I'm fine.
Ma'am,
I'm fine. I was like, I'm fine. I'm good. It's always just a juggling act with me and just doing what I can, how I can.
I could see your brain working like a spreadsheet at all times. I get it.
A fucking spreadsheet. Shout out to Jonas. Thank you so much for handling all of that, because I hate it.
I know.
So,
I've seen your notes. Never a spreadsheet.
Okay. Yeah. It's just like, in the words of Ernest Hemingway.
Who's that man?
You just sit down and bleed.
Oh.
In regards to writing.
Oh.
So we were talking about Ernest Hemingway.
I mean, I understand the general information about him out there, but I got beef with him because of that fucking daiquiri.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
Big
Max,
Mad,
I
Big
know.
Mad,
Everyone
Big
thinks
Mad.
that it's fucking good, but I am like, why? Oh, why? When someone orders a Hemingway daiquiri, I crash the fuck out.
See, and I
Espresso martini?
I
A split base.
I fuck with the split base daiquiri hard.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
but I mean,
I got that from you. I'd be suggesting it to people.
because it's fire.
Yes.
You're like, sorry about it.
We don't choose the same dark rums, but
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm always open. I'm always open to the split. Always.
he goes Dutch, y'all.
Double Dutching out here. That's correct. And I love that how we even start this.
Yeah.
Still tangents.
Yeah, I know. We gotta.
I mean, language of the industry, if you
Yeah.
will. So
If you're not ranting about something crazy upon arrival after clock in,
then what are we doing?
what are we doing?
What are we doing? But
You're
we're
not
doing
insane.
this,
Yeah.
which is a recap episode from our time at Utility Chicago. Shout out to our friends at Tilit,
Word.
Jenny and Adam, for just everything, like not only from like a workwear perspective, but from a culture perspective. It's really empowering,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean-
and yeah, go ahead.
You have to like really, oh God, you got to be really like passionate and committed.
Mhm,
And
yeah.
I'm realizing as I'm saying this, it's like, okay, my pettiness is going to be poured in to ensuring that we do some bomb shit this year,
Oh, yeah.
podcast wise.
Of course.
I'm very petty and I want to be the very best like no one ever was.
Let's go.
Are we gonna get licensing for nice? Yes. Ask,
Clear.
can we clear that? We should double check
We're
with
gonna
the
clear
accountant.
that.
Yeah, thank you.
We're gonna clear that.
It was like less than a full sentence.
It's okay.
I'll cry.
Max is like,
We can't do it.
he's like, hold on a second.
They'll never know. Yeah,
Yes,
but
they
no,
will.
you have to like really be committed to wanting to see a change. And like, I don't know, I'm not a good leader, but I'm a good second in command. You know, listen, I don't want to hear it. I understand this about myself. I
Okay.
know I can do something.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
know that I'm better
Okay.
as a second in command.
Okay.
Because the stress of it all will crumble me.
Okay.
I am being so for real.
No problem. You're good.
But like, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
also, do we break the fourth wall and like we recorded with them already?
I mean, I feel like I feel like this is a new.
Okay.
It's a new.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
we
yeah.
got to know that.
So it's after. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I feel like it was weird when we did the remote recording.
Yes.
Because
we missed
I
out on
can't-
like the nuance.
I
and,
can't like
yeah.
see them and vibe with them and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And it was
yeah.
like halfway through the phone call, I realized that like, well, the recording, I
Mm-hmm.
realized that like, oh, Alex is me and Jenny is Justin. And this makes sense. Like, I can do
Peas
stuff.
in a pod. Pairs.
I can like do stuff, show up, be there. But like, I cannot organize a goddamn thing to save my life.
But you got here.
I did.
And you got to that.
I know.
Which is awesome.
It's like, I know what I have to offer, but like, I don't know. I get him.
Yeah.
He's very much like into the salt of the earth kind of vibes with it. He's very much like into listening to what people have to say. And I think you could see that in what they produce, like through Tilit. You could see it in the way that they've like designed their workwear, the products
Very
that they
intentional,
align with.
curated,
Yeah. And everything just kind of makes sense a lot, which I like in workwear.
Well, actually, why don't we talk a little bit about that? Because I believe that the idea of workwear within the industry has this overarching kind of viewpoint as like a uniform. So the idea of workwear is, I feel like it's something different, right?
I'm gonna be real with you.
Go ahead.
It is a uniform. It's just one that you are choosing. And like,
which matters.
Yeah. Just like, I don't know. I know I'm an immigrant and I grew up in uniforms my entire life. Even when I moved to the States, they made me wear a fucking uniform. I was like the only kid in the class for a while just in uniform. But I think that people need to just sort of like realize that it, first of all, doesn't really matter the style of thing that you wear in a kitchen. I personally am everyone should look like an individual kind of situation, but they give you a versatility that not only you could use at work, but outside of work. And you know me, I'm a simple bitch. I love wearing the same thing for every occasion. I be wearing fucking dishwashing
you're
shirts.
talking to the monochromatic queen.
Oh, I know.
So, yeah.
You have a uniform. The other day I had a dream and you were wearing like a yellow jacket in it, and I was
no, throw it out. No offense to those that do, but no.
It was I couldn't.
There was a chef that I knew that wore a yellow apron.
Was there a story behind it?
I didn't ask. It's just as soon as I saw him, I was just like, "What's up, Big Bird?" Never wore it again. You know,
damn.
And it was no tea, no shade, but it came off that way.
Yucked his yum.
Listen, he was
in
like,
his own home, probably. Were you at work?
No longer.
Were you at work though?
No longer. Literally, no longer. But for me, I think that it's, it really speaks to, because we can and we will talk about, back of house culture versus front of house culture, and how Tilit is the bridge within that. However, I mean, there are systems in place for a reason, right? And
tell me more about these systems.
I don't have to tell you more about systems that you're already familiar with. Yeah. However, I will say that to me, it's really important to acknowledge why Tilit as a brand is successful, but then also looking at how utility brings all of that ethos into practice as well. Because, I mean, I'm so sorry, Miguel, about giving you a hard time, because I know that you listen to Terms of Service, about your yellow ass apron.
Oh my God.
But it was just surprising. It was just surprising, and not in a bad way, but I was just like, ain't nobody in here like
the ADHD is crazy today.
Yeah, listen, I apologize.
No, I like it.
To this man.
Okay,
Keke Palmer. Okay, and we don't.
Did I send that meme to y'all this week? Yeah, I did.
Nah.
I do not know this man in the group chat.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I've seen that 1,001
it's
times.
It's the internet.
But, I mean,
yeah.
But it's iconic though. It's absolutely iconic. So go ahead, love.
No, I was just gonna say that this was my first trade show. And I chose violence, and I got there at 10 a.m.
You got there right when doors were ready to open. I love that.
Yeah.
And also, look at you. What? We're gonna go ahead and celebrate that enthusiasm.
I know. I went by myself, y'all. I wasn't with Justin or Max. I showed up there after working the night before, and it was actually fucking busy. I was like, you have the audacity to be busy on a Saturday when you haven't been fucking busy on a Saturday in months. And I had to work for a living. Trash. But I will say that it was super easy, like getting in there, getting your like badge. They print you out like a little thing. It said Nariba Shepherd Terms of Service. I was like, scan my barcode. I don't know. And I immediately
found through QR code.
Yeah. I immediately found the coffee and Ursula.
I didn't see Ursula.
I texted her when I got on the train and was like, not a single picture. We were hanging out for literally 2 hours.
Damn.
And I did not get a single picture of us together.
Well, shout out to you, Ursula.
It was special though.
Yeah. We also saw Alexis Belton.
Yes.
Love. We saw Sarah Grunberg, Rick Bayless, Kevin Bain, Jason Hamill.
Oh yeah, Jason. Yeah, we ran into each other.
Felicia Maiden,
we were in line. We made eye contact. I was like, oh my God, another black person. There were a lot of black people there. There were a lot of people of color there. The diversity was on point.
Popping. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that compares to some other ones, but yeah. And
one specifically in mind that was anti that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, no, it was a couple, like 3 rooms, and there were a lot of vendors, both local and not so local. Mm-hmm. It was early as hell, so I immediately had some coffee. They had like espresso on site, which was nice, and just dilly-dallied around. JB Prince. I hadn't thought about them in a minute, but that's because I'm not in kitchens and I work at a neighborhood bar, and they're not using JB Prince. But I was like, oh yeah, this is like where all the fancy things live that you like use to do your job. Also,
I mean, you used JB Prince in the past.
Yeah, I still have like tweezers and shit at home
I have all the things. Yeah,
sometimes use to do random things in my own home.
So, I feel like, the overall vibe and aesthetic of utility really lent itself quite well into the culture of the industry, because it didn't feel like a trade show. And I know that you had mentioned earlier.
I've never been, yeah.
I know that you had mentioned not attending a trade show before, but like it feels very like, it's like networking on steroids. It's very transactional. And one of the things, as I was recapping our experience, specifically my experience, was that it felt like a trade space, like it felt like an industry space.
Yeah.
Which, obviously you had, makers, laborers, leaders, so on and so forth throughout the context of the industry. But the reality is, for me, is that I felt like it made the most amount of sense to really kind of parlay that into what it means and what it feels like to actually be a contributing member to the industry from so many different facets.
Yeah.
And that was my key takeaway as to how like I felt throughout it. Made some amazing connections, saw some great friends. I always say
like a deep dive into people I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, and I mean that's there's pros and cons to everything, right? So the biggest thing is you also have to be like mentally equipped for that, right? Like
I am not.
But I mean, hell, like I was feeling, it's like every time I turned around, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's this person. Oh my gosh, it's this person. But it was so rewarding and very refreshing.
Yeah. And
because it was a decision.
Yeah, and it was nice to see like people who you think would be at the other situation.
Yes.
There.
Right.
So I'm like, oh yeah, like we're all also wanting the same thing, which I think my thought going into it was mostly like, who is this targeting? Like what audience is going to be there? And there were like a mix of people, I would say definitely economically, but I do still think that it is targeted to the independent like restaurant market, and
like the makers, right?
Well,
yeah,
yes and no.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that as like a line cook in fine dining, I was pushed to want to be in these spaces, and I never got that experience like at the time, and I could see a lot more of the younger kids, like people in their 20s, crazy, like there. And
you're like, hey, young kids.
Yeah, they're getting into it like way sooner than like I did for sure. Everything for me was like a hand-me-down, pass-down situation. But I like that it's sort of like expanding on the natural growth and trajectory of like you realizing that you need certain tools and access to certain ingredients to make things better than they can be.
Right.
So, you know, I like that for me was like the interesting part was watching everyone sort of like connecting and experiencing things they haven't experienced before and looking at different like businesses in different ways. I both loved and also got anxiety looking at like the display with all the different options for POS systems because you know me and a computer, I'm like, this ain't for me. But I did like...
You're like, I see training in my future. Yes. And lots and lots of training. Yeah, I feel you.
But I did like Mies.
Yeah, super
that
cool.
was like blending everything together that I don't want to be doing with the shit that I have to do like in chef world.
Yeah.
Fucking costing out shit. I know how to do it, but like, do I want to?
Well, and then also like that streamlined sourcing aspect of it as well.
And that you can have like your recipes in the same area as like the cost of it, and it changes with the market because it has like the accounting software.
Yeah.
Geniuses. Yeah. I was like, that's crazy.
You're like, and that is what we call responsiveness.
Hunter literally has so many spreadsheets.
Where was Hunter?
He was in Texas for his nephew's first birthday. That's an excusable.
Okay, we forgive you, Hunter, and also we love you. So
he was like, he messaged me that morning and was like, for his third birthday, you're coming with me and we're going to the rodeo. I ain't never been. I'm very excited.
I have also never been to the rodeo.
You know, my anthropologist in me is like, let me experience what that's like. What's this community about? I still want to go to a NASCAR thing and also a monster truck thing. Yeah.
No, those are very valid.
I want to know about. I want to know what they got going on over there.
You're like, let me see that. Let me figure that out.
That's kind of like what I went into this like trade show with, because speaking to Alex and Jenny, you know, I learned a lot. I was like, okay, cool, y'all are doing some stuff there, but then seeing it like full tilt, full Tilit, if you will. It was. Like,
consider
oh shit, you could do this.
Trademark. No, I'm just
I'm like, you could like really do this. I'm not gonna lie, a big draw was the flash tattoos. I was like, I want that.
Shout out to Great Lakes Tattoo.
I am poor and I am making horrible life decisions. Slap some ink on my body. And that was like,
tell the people what you got.
I got it's a riff on like the deli drinking experience, which I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm at home and I'm putting my food in a deli. If no one's there, I'm using a deli.
I mean, it hits.
Yeah, drinking water, deli, and so
crispy water.
Well, okay.
Okay.
So you got your hydro flask when you want the ice to stay iced the entire time. You know, you want like continuously cold beverage. I feel like the deli method is your ice is melting. So at some point you're going to have room temperature water, which is actually the shit that hydrates you. So on the line, it makes sense to have a deli. Because you're actually hydrating when the water isn't cold better than when the water is cold, because your body has to like regulate so that it can go into your bloodstream. Listen, I'm not a scientist, but I do understand that.
One also, I'll say from, my side, in regards to front of house, if you can't find anything to drink anything from, I've just been handed a deli, or like I just grabbed it out of the dish, and so it's just like
it's on
scoops. Listen, I'll scoop some damn ice into that, And I don't want to hear people's opinion and their shit about like me drinking, super cold water. I
just gave my opinion.
Listen, I'm old. I'm old. I
want what I want. Yeah.
I want what I want, and I am who I am. So
respectfully,
hit me with that ice cold freshness.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it comes from a deli, it's just like it.
It just hits different.
I don't know. There's
something about chugging 32 ounces of water that just like.
Well, and also it forces you to have it.
Yeah.
So, because on my end, I'm not, gonna keep it. I'm just gonna
get rid of it afterwards.
Yeah, I'm gonna, it's gonna go right back in the dish. Yeah. So I'm like, that's the whole thing. And also, one of the things that I definitely think that it's really important to talk about just foundationally is the decision of Tilit producing utility here in Chicago.
Did you want me to tell them what my tattoo was?
Yes,
because that's what you asked me.
Yes, but also I just wanted to allude to that, so because I know that we're gonna go, but yeah. What's your tattoo?
I just got a Cambro deli. That's it. It's full of ice water. That's the whole situation.
You're like, and that's it.
Cambro reposted it on their story, and then random businesses started following me for a couple of days. I was like, that's why, but okay, pop off. Shout out to Cambro.
Yes.
I love your work. Yeah.
You're like, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember who? Do you remember who? Put this Cambro tattoo on you, and also it's a fire tattoo. So, do you remember?
It was Great Lakes Tattoo. I'm Ben. I think his name's Ben.
Great.
I had a lovely conversation with him.
Love that. Shout out to Ben.
Is it Ben?
If it is Ben. If it is Ben.
Listen, we had a moment, but.
So should we just say shout out to Great Lakes Tattoo?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely shout out to them. Excellent work. It reminded me a lot of when you go to a night market or something and there's someone random in a garage doing stick and pokes, except it was legit. It was a legit tattoo setup.
You're like, it was not a stick and poke. Yeah.
No,
it's fine.
20 minutes and now my itch has been scratched. I was like, why didn't I just go to the thing? Brandon. Brandon.
Shout out to Brandon.
Shout out to Brandon.
Ben, if you do work at Great Lakes Tattoo, I'm sure you're absolutely phenomenal.
I don't know him. But Brandon Lee, listen, we talked about this, and I really hope that you get to read a book this year. I know that you will get back into reading books. You don't have to go my route, which was fairy smut, but I believe in you. He wants to read more books, and he was like, how do you do it? And I was like, let me tell you. Fairy smut.
Well, shout out to Brandon.
Yeah.
And shout out to reading more books.
Mm-hmm.
In whichever world they will transport you to. So
transportation.
Yes. And so, I think for me, I just believe that it was a really nice, a really nice showcase for this particular element of the industry.
Yeah.
Being here in Chicago at the time that they were here in Chicago, but then also even more so, what it was in contrast of.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on.
I was going to say we should just come up with a different name for it if we're going to continue to
allude to
it.
Yeah, I can't say it, and I don't want to say it.
The one that supports crushing our rights.
That
as workers.
That one.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
So, and then I'll say that. I'll also say from my end, I feel, and obviously I'm very biased, but the Chicago hospitality scene, from a cultural standpoint, is extremely passionate, extremely diverse, but also curious in a manner to where they're already fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, right? Like, you know, we can cut through so much bullshit so easy, and it was great to be in a space to where we got to actually talk to people that cared about who you are, why you're doing the things, the different things that you're up to, and take as much time as possible. I mean, shit, I'm thinking about talking to the team over at OS Benefits, which also shout out to OS Benefits, a marketplace for hospitality professionals. Look into it. All of the information I will make sure that we share it. It's absolutely incredible. And
drop it down below.
Yes.
As the kids would say.
Yeah, and I also think that it's really important to remind people that you have resources and access to create the future that you'd like to see.
I mean, with the whole freaking pitch competition, restaurant pitch competition.
Let's talk about it.
That was something that I've
not really
seen before. I don't know if that's something that they do at a bunch of like trade shows in general, but like the idea that you don't need to buy into
they did it at a
anything.
utility. Yeah.
The idea that you don't have to buy into something and could potentially walk out with $20,000 to help you start your business is freaking wild.
Yeah, because I mean that's life-changing in regards to this industry and how, you know, how margins are so slim and, you know, accessibility becomes a little bit more difficult or a lot more difficult. And to your point, I feel like that's a great representation of how utility was centered around people, not just product.
Yep.
That was a great touch point. And also food was fire. So
yeah.
And
the fact that you got to be a part of it by being able to taste all the food and cast the votes, which they changed from previously. So this was like the first time I believe that they had people actually like eating the food that these places are like putting out or want to put out when they like open their doors. So that was nice. You got to vote. And I love an underdog.
I love it.
I cast my vote where I thought it should be. But, you know, the crowd spoke and a hometown hero was born.
You know, that hometown hero has been kicking it for a minute.
I know.
And I'm just going to, you know, drop his name and all of the things because Charles Wong is absolutely fucking phenomenal. Umami Q, congratulations on taking that win. And
Duck,
you know,
slay.
So excited to see what you do in the future, and you know, if the past is any indication, what you talking about?
Gotta keep moving, keep pushing, doing it. It's gonna be great.
I was just like, you're ducking it out. See, I don't know what I'm doing with this. It's just you know, because maybe it's because I got like an hour of sleep before we got. I'm just saying.
Remember yesterday when I asked you if you were gonna get sleep and you said yes?
I mean, I tried to get sleep, but then I always just, like, my mind goes. It just goes, you know?
I understand. I sleep for 6 hours max now. 6 hours, I'm just awake. Doesn't matter that I work at 4:45. I would go to bed at 1, wake up at 7:30, and I'm like, cool.
You're like, so I'm just up now.
I'm just existing.
You know, just like we're doing our thing. And so I think that for me, it's another example of like this showcase of the emotional weight of overall labor, right? And just having faces behind concepts and intentionality.
Yeah.
And that's why I felt like I was having so much fun while I was there. I was like, huh, like these aren't brands, like these are people, because the reality is it's just like all brands are just a, collective of individuals, behind a similar vision, so that's
allegedly.
I mean, you're not
I've been
wrong.
watching the Anarchist documentary on HBO, and you learn real quick that there are different versions of everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was nice to see a sort of camaraderie amongst all of the people who were there, and you could tell like they either worked before or work after, and like, still made it part of their to-do list of the day.
Right.
And I feel like I'm very bad at describing like going to things, because the idea of leaving my home for any reason.
But you did it.
Yeah, and it was great. I did have anxiety a lot. I have anxiety about like talking to people. And I was like, I am here for the podcast. I must talk. By the time Justin showed up, I was like, I got 3 cards. I talked to 3 people. I am tired. No,
you tapped me right in.
I was like, girl, this is all you. I'm about to get this tattoo and go out there and listen to this panel, and then you're taking notes. But no, first of all, I think that was the first time that I was ever in a space with Rick Bayless, knowingly. Sometimes you're like at events and stuff, and there's like people around, but and I was like, oh, like, you're a regular
I know that
dude.
man.
Yeah. I was like, how do I recognize? When you like meet someone, you're like,
Yeah.
I know you from somewhere. I can't put my finger on it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you're like everywhere.
Yeah. And you're
Hi,
here.
Rick Bayless, if you ever listen to this, maybe, I don't know. You're doing cool stuff.
Yes.
Keep
That's
doing
how
it.
that's how I felt about Jason Hamill.
Well, this is the thing, and don't be annoyed,
Okay.
but Jason Hamill literally came up to me when Jennifer Kim was doing the In Living Color event.
Love.
And asked me about my doubles recipe. And that's how like I got to know him. Yeah, you fucking walked right into that one, Betty. And
Listen.
so like that's how we like sort of got to know each other, and then like doing Trini Zaddy pepper sauce and stuff. And so like when I ran into him, he was like, I haven't seen you in a while. I was like, I don't leave Rogers Park. Jason,
You're like, I'm lucky.
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
you're lucky that I'm here right now.
yeah, sometimes when I'm like, doom scrolling, I'll watch my own story for entertainment value. And sometimes I see him like in there. I'm like, Jason, you don't want this. It's like memes about being an Aries and I'm depressed, with the occasional sprinkle of, this is what you should know about the industry and or the government. I'm being shadow banned. Sorry. I got stuff to say. But yeah, no, love Jason.
We got to get him on.
I'm like, can we have a conversation about this?
Yes. Yeah, I was like, we both certainly can talk about it.
No.
Yes.
I think, okay, this is the thing. Jason is
Hold on, we
so-
don't have to go into
No.
Yeah.
But Jason is like the Lorax.
Word.
know?
Yeah, for sure.
Could we get
Yeah.
him? Yeah. But like, I just imagine him like popping up as we're sitting down, and he's like, I'm here. And then like teaches us about seasonal like foods and makes you feel like a dad, like he's a dad the whole time. I don't know, I enjoy him so much.
Yeah.
Genuinely
Jason, if
good
you're listening
person.
to this,
yeah.
we'll be in touch soon. Yes.
Or if someone that works for Jason is listening to this, let him know.
Feel free.
I feel like that's more likely.
He follows us.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right.
So, let's just
Listen,
throw that out there.
I don't really look at like our statistics.
I do.
Bitch, I know. Occasionally I'll get a quarterly update. I feel like it's like Severance, Like every time I come here, it's a different person. It's like, oh, this is podcast Reba. And as soon as I walk through the door of Blind Barber, I'm like, anxiety.
You're like, but the lights are up and it's good to go.
Yeah.
You know, and so just as we are, you know, coming up on time on this recap episode, one of the things that I wanted to touch upon is kind of the overarching theme of Tilit's commitment to the industry. And again, I know that I touched upon it earlier, but very specifically, it's like, how can you bring all of that nuance, all of that culture into a space to where, you know, it's, you kind of just make it your own. But I feel like they did their absolute best to make it our own, which was dope to see, and just have everyone like fucking hanging out and being like, oh, like, do you know about this brand? Or like, oh, like I'm in town from, you know, X market, and let's talk and like connect and see how we can work together, or just even like excuse me, have space with one another.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what I'd mentioned earlier about how like it doesn't feel transactional.
No.
It just feels
It was not
sincere.
giving Christopher Columbus.
It was not. It was not giving Christopher Columbus.
Which, no tea, no shade. When people come from New York to Chicago, very often it feels like, I see what y'all are doing here. This is what we do, blah, blah, blah. But it was not giving that energy whatsoever. Yeah. You could tell that they really also wanted to have like a local community base involved. I know that the other one is like nearby, but I like the fact that it is not downtown and is giving South Loop Chinatown vibes, which, okay,
yeah,
listen.
shout out to May District for hosting.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And shout out to our girl Lucy Angel. We love her so much. Also, one of the first things when I walked in.
Are you gonna talk? Yeah, say it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
She was like, "Oh my!" She's like, "It's so great to see you."
Yeah.
And it's just like, I was talking to Narima, and she thought that I moved.
Yeah.
And I was like,
"Bitch, you don't live here."
She's like, "Yes, I do."
And Ursula was like, "Your Instagram is giving. You're never in Chicago." And
Fair.
She was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I was like, "Grocery Run Club, what?"
Yeah. Shout out to GRC. You know, and whatever, you know, framework that they currently have, and also shout out to her and Jorge for coming on, you know, what was that, season 1?
Yeah.
Talking about the, like, integrity of need. That was fire. And I just want to say that because people listening to this are going to wonder, it's like, oh, like they're doing a recap episode for an event in the industry. Like, why does this make sense? And for me specifically, I think
it just makes sense. We don't have to qualify shit.
No, for sure. But also, I just want to make a statement about it. It's because utility and Tilit overall, like, we share a very similar ethos to where how we are decentering the elements of what is traditionally accessible and empowered through this industry by the work that we're trying to accomplish culturally for the overall sustainability of the industry.
Yeah. And, so, you know, they're helping.
If y'all wanted to know, because I'm sure y'all do, because y'all be in the terms of service DMs just asking a whole bunch of questions, which we love. But sometimes it's just like, well, what about this? And it's just like, we see it, you know, but this was something that I believe that as an entire crew, we wanted to highlight and amplify. So
yeah, and they're gonna keep coming back, and they keep growing. So
yeah,
excited to see what it looks like next time.
I mean, it's the whole goddamn, what does it say? It's the whole kit and caboodle, if you will.
Kit and caboodle.
So again, as we wrap this up, I have some questions that are, directed to employers and individuals that find themselves in the hospitality industry that are looking to push things forward and also just kind of lean inward. And for me, one of the biggest questions when it comes to kind of learning lessons from utility, how do you integrate that into everyday operations, and then also redefining what uniform is, quote unquote, and how does it lend it to like your own self-expression within your role? That's one of my biggest
concerns.
Yeah, let us know, because that's a very, very significant touch point, and also, it's all made up of individuals in this industry. So how do we platform and celebrate individuality?
Yeah,
absolutely. So that's one of the biggest questions for me. And then also directly to employers, outside of acquiring better gear and so on and so forth, and having these different aspects into the industry to where you're like, this is why it makes a lot of sense. This is why it makes a lot of sense within the overall context of a concept. What is happening in regards to internal infrastructure to ensure that you're generating better conditions so people feel empowered to show up as their most authentic self while they are serving the public through your concept?
I don't think people are thinking about that.
Well, I mean, that's why I asked this question. Because, we would hope so, right?
This something like this sort of kind of happened recently at work, where, they wanted to go to like button-ups and polos, and there was a massive crash out amongst the staff. And we sort of like came to a mutual agreement that we would wear aprons and like pop off slay. The second week of wearing the aprons like saved me from an entire 2-ounce pour of mezcal that just
there you go
went all the way down.
We call that form and function.
Yeah. But no, it's just like, I think people don't want to let go of the idea of the original concept sometimes. And
but is self-expression a deterrent from that?
That's part of it, because people want their vision of things to look a certain way. Fair. And you have to like change what people perceive to be the expectation.
Fair. And
so
facts,
that they can like learn that there's different ways of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Tilit specifically is in a unique space where they can create an image that is clean and efficient and looks good both inside and outside of the kitchen.
Sick.
So
yeah,
they've got that going for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. Old people still out here.
Yeah,
having thoughts and ideas.
Yeah,
literally.
And doing,
oh my god.
Yeah, and doing.
My brain almost crashed out about like 3
fine.
Democratic people dying in office.
You're fine. I was like, you're all good. But yes, so
yeah,
so
yeah. I'm crashing out about it.
That's fair. You're like, I
don't even go here, and the government is fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, as we definitely have to wrap up because we are behind our own schedule.
No, I mean, it's just like we're doing the thing. But then my follow-up question would be to our listener base, so within your workplace, is there room for your authentic self? And if there isn't, what are ways to demand it and advocate for it? So it's another thing.
Yeah.
So throwing that out there. And Nariba, do you have any closing remarks in regards to your experience at Utility and, you know, what lies for the future in regards to what you want to see, what, like, shout outs, anything? So feel free.
I mean, I would definitely go again. I think that, like, I would want to see more like local like knife shops or like vendor. I know that like certain vendors are gonna be at the other show, but I think that like there's a great opportunity for them to reach a new audience if they want to commit to the try.
Oh, shout out Casey Duty.
You know?
Yes. That was the name of our episode. Yes.
But like, no, I'm interested to see how this grows and what they're going to evolve into next year, and the people that are going to like step forward for the restaurant pitch competition next year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Best of luck. Not to the people coming up with the thing. Let's be like, good luck to you two, I guess, but mostly to Alex and Jenny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I would just like to say in closing on my end that we have so much gratitude to everyone from the Tilit team, all of the creators, not only on the brand side, but also the producers for Utility, the collaborators, the makers, the community of the hospitality industry, and also just for showing up, which that is always a
big ask.
Significant ask, and especially, you know, how this industry can just make you feel so very like bogged down. So shout out to you. And on my end, my name is Justin Arnett Graham, and you can find me on Instagram at thisisbiko. And also don't forget about following us on Terms of Service Podcast. We also have a YouTube channel, Terms of Service Podcast, as well. And then also please follow our friends at Tilit NYC, and then also the Utility show as well. And thank you so very much for Jenny, Alex, Jacinta, everyone involved in all of the work, and thank you so much for keeping us in the loop, and we look forward to supporting you every step of the way.
My name is Nariba Shepherd. You could find me on Instagram at Rebaru, Rebaru. And I guess like my question in leaving is, do you want us to have a video component for this? People keep telling us marketing wise we got to do that, but like, do you want that? Do you want that?
Yeah.
Asking for a friend. All right. Think about it. Bye.
Peace.